welcome back to the channel. This is your pre-match build-up, slightly late pre-match build-up by like 6 or 7 minutes, so apologies for that. Technical issues, but we sorted it now. But this is the game between Manchester United and Crystal Palace in the Premier League. For everyone involved who's just joining, make sure you get your comments in, leave a like on the video for us, and talk to us about the lineup, because the starting 11 is Andre Onana in net, Diego Dalot right back, Varane, Lindelof, and Amrabat we think will be at left back, but again could be quite flexible there. We've got Casemiro, Mount, and Bruno Fernandes, which we'll speak about in the midfield, and then we have Pellistri, Højlund, and Marcus Rashford. Obviously back into the side after Bruno and Rashford missed the last game. Civir, talk to me about that team. How are you feeling? Confident? Think we can get a decent result today?
I'm hoping we can get a decent result, but that's just hope. But our team doesn't fill me with much confidence. I'm sure you guys already know, I've never been a fan of having Bruno, Mount, and Casemiro together. I like them individually, but as a midfield unit, I've just never been a fan of that. And I think I can just imagine Casemiro just sighing when he sees that, because that just means more work for him. I hope they don't play him in the lone six, because he's not a lone six. Like, he hasn't. I've never seen him play that anyway. I don't know if anyone else has. And my problem about Rashford and Pellistri is that they're too similar. When you have with the type of wingers they are, modern day wingers now are almost like playmakers as well. So they're not just the traditional winger would beat your man, take a shot. They also create chances. And I don't know if both of them do. I'd like to have one and then have another midfield or another winger on the other side who's more like the playmaker, wide playmaker. Like, so I'd have loved to see someone like Mount play on the right wing, because he's not that traditional winger. He can create chances, he can float the ball in, he can spot the pass. But when you have two direct wingers, I don't know. And here's the thing: I'm just a fan. I'm not a pundit. I'm not an expert. Nothing. I just based on what I've seen over the years. It just doesn't fill me with much confidence. I just hope we can get the win, but the lineup, man, I'm not too pleased. But Ten Hag is the one with the trophies. His manager's experience. Let's just hope he proves people like me wrong.
So if Graham Souness gets paid to put his opinion on Sky, so I think you'll be all right, mate. I think your football knowledge is well endowed. What did you take from the last game, Shreyas? Because there were positives in that one there, considering the kind of awful start that we had to the season. That game against Palace was probably, we discussed it, didn't we? Said it's our most controlled performance. Obviously, both managers are going to take things away from that, aren't they? They're going to learn lessons, etc. They're going to know where they can hurt one another. Who does that play in favour of, do you think? Do you think it's more leaning towards Palace today?
I don't think so. I think it would still lean more towards our side. First off, we are playing at home. At home, we play with much greater confidence. We play with much more aggressiveness and on the front foot. And on the second hand, if I have to compare that Palace side, which we actually beat, to this side, it's not that far off. So I think overall, the team that Ten Hag is putting out today, I think they have it in them to actually get a decent result against Palace. If this would have been the same lineup against the likes of a City or a Liverpool, I would be concerned, because against that sort of an opponent, if you go in with a midfield of Mount, Bruno, and Casemiro, it's evident. It's pretty. You don't even need to think about it. It will get overrun. But now that you're coming up against the likes of a Palace, or if it's like a team like a Burnley, then this midfield can hold. I think this midfield can work against certain type of opponents. But when you come up against the likes of your City, Liverpool, and Arsenal, that's when you need a midfield of Casemiro and Amrabat. That's when Casemiro would require that sort of player who can provide him with that defensive support, and also moving forward can be would have the legs to actually track back those runners. So I think at least against Palace today, I'm confident that this lineup can get the job done. And because Rashford has been picked today, he needs to show something, because Garnacho was absolutely incredible in that last match. So I think Rashford as well as Bruno, both of them need to step up tonight.
Well, there's a couple of people who aren't happy about Rashford starting, to be honest, which is the times we're in at the minute. Brian Casey saying, afternoon, lads, see this being a comfortable 3-1 victory. JH Football says, hi, come on the Reds. Can you give me a shout out? Absolutely, there's your shout out, JH Football. Lou says, gutted Rashford starting, to be honest. It'll be 4-0 United, JH. Connor Crawler, is the United match on TV? It's not on TV, so I think you all know what you need to do. What about the new players then coming in, Chivy, into the side? Because obviously Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford were dropped for the last game. There's been criticism on both of them, more towards Rashford. It seems to be a debate with Garnacho and Rashford at the minute. Where's your head with that?
What, the new players coming in?
So yeah, you've got Marcus Rashford, Bruno coming in, but I mean, like, there's people saying in a minute, well, maybe Garnacho deserves a bit of a start. He's looked a bit better than Rashford. What do you think about that?
Yeah, maybe him, but I'm more Hannibal.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the common denominator in both games. He started both games. I remember when. So one of the problems that I have with the way we play now is that when we lose the ball in the opposition half, we're wide open, open.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for people to just
Hit us on the counter.
Hit us on the counter easily, because most of the times, like Casemiro was literally at the edge of their 6-yard box. We'd lose the ball, and that's it. If we don't have anyone behind, sort of like, occupying the space that he left, we're fucked. Now, when we had Gore and Hannibal, I remember, I think it was the first half, or I think it was in the first half, we lost the ball, and I could just see Hannibal and Garnacho just tearing back.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Breakneck speed, like tearing back. Now, they caught up with their man, and then he let the ball go, but then they were able to catch up. Now, I don't remember Rashford doing that. Like recently. I know he used to do it in the past, but I don't remember him doing that.
Well, they put a metric out recently. I don't know if you saw it, about the most presses or something in the team, and Rashford was near the bottom, I think. Right. Obviously, Hannibal being at the top of the most sprints in the Premier League, I think it was. So it's a clear difference there.
This is my point. So this is my point. Even when Dan Gore came on, like I was so happy with what he did. Like, I don't need a player to come and just like bust the game, but I need you to come in and do the simple things. It was really hard to get him off the ball as well. I was so surprised because he's really small. He's like he's got that low center of gravity, so it's really hard to muscle him off the ball. And I loved it. He just kept it simple. Just keep it ticking. Like, you don't need anything. And then he works so well with Casemiro. Like, he covers up, when Casemiro. So those are the kind of players I'd love to see come in. However, like I said before, the manager knows what he sees in training. We just see what we see during the game, innit? So that's all we can go by. But as far as new players coming out, I'd love to see Hannibal start. I'm not a big fan of Garnacho starting either. I know he's done well, but he's usually more impactful when it comes off the bench. So I'm not a big fan of that. I don't mind starting Rashford and Bruno. It really is just the position that they play in that I'm more concerned with.
Yeah, I get that. Obviously, Shreyas, there's going to be a slight change tactically, and I don't think it's going to go down the exact way. I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't think it's going to go down the exact way as Tuesday. Very controlled, nothing to worry about. I do think they will cause some problems, but tactically, how do you see it playing out tonight, in your opinion, of course?
I think when it, moving forward, I think I can still see us playing quick. I think that's the only way we'll actually able to hurt Palace today, if we play quick football. And on the other hand, when we are on the defense, that Rashford flank is something that, they will be looking to exploit, because the thing that I saw with Garnacho in that game was that when he was tracking back, it came as an instinct. It wasn't that, he had to think twice, or, it was somewhat of a decision that, he's just jogging back. It was instinct. Like, he lost the ball, he went back, he got the ball, he went forward. I haven't seen that with Rashford yet. So for Palace, I think that's the area they would, like to exploit, because on that right hand side, I still think that, Dalot will get enough support, but will Amrabat be getting enough support through Rashford on that left hand side is a question mark. How is our midfield actually going to work? Is Casemiro going to have the support of Bruno, or is it going to be Mason Mount? I would personally want Bruno to be playing that, deep role, and Mount to be actually playing a bit forward, because I still think that, the amount of ground that Bruno is able to cover during games, I think he would work much better than Mount in that 8 position. So maybe it is that, but how well is it going to work? And at the end of the day, how many chances will be able to create for Højlund? That is the biggest question of them all. So I think if we are able to create enough chances, I think Hoyland will score and probably we get the win. But if he's swamped, that's when the issues will start to happen.
Yeah. Of course, we've got quite a few absences, haven't we, to be fair. We've got the recent news with Lisandro Martinez, who's going to be out for 2 to 3 months. He apparently might have to have surgery on it again to sort the issue out, whatever it is, which obviously isn't great. We've got Anthony, who's coming back tomorrow. I think me and Shreyas did a live show on that yesterday. What are your thoughts on that situation? Because Pelistri's done quite well, Anna, on that right-hand side. So how do you manage that? Do you think it's just a case of Anthony just goes straight back in, or do you, make it a little bit competitive in that regard?
Me personally, if Anthony is like match fit, as much as he's kind of regressed in my opinion of him, because I was one of his biggest fans.
Yeah.
Personally, I'll bring him back on. I like Pelistri. I like him really well. I like him a lot, but I still don't think he's at the level that we need him to be able to impact games now. And I'm more than happy.
What is it specifically about like his game that you think he needs to work on?
He shows the desire. He shows the hunger. He's easily pushed off the ball, like so easily. He's had a few chances where I don't know if it's coincidence, but there was a chance against, was it Arsenal?
I don't know. You have to describe the chance.
Yeah.
Where Ericsson? Where is it?
Squares it. Was it Arsenal?
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, I think it was Arsenal.
I think it was Arsenal or Bayern, one of them.
Bayern.
First 3 minutes it was, wasn't it, or something like. Yeah.
Yeah, he's had that. He's had quite a few. Even in the last game against Palace, it looked like a foul later on. But he's always. I don't know whether it's a mental thing in my head, but whenever it's falls to him to finish, it just never happens.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's easily pushed off the ball, and I don't think he's that sort of playmaker that we would see. That he would. I don't think he'll get to the levels that we expect for him to get to.
Yeah.
If we really want to improve as a team, we need a player that can kind of get to sort of like a Mahrez sort of situation, a Jack Grealish kind of, the intelligence on the ball. Now, it's nothing personal with him. I know he tries a lot, and I know he gives us a lot of cover, but I'd rather go with Anthony because I know at the very least he's a go threat. And when he does make the right decisions, he really does pay off with Anthony. I'm sure he makes 10 wrong decisions, but he always manages to spot that pass and then impact the game somehow. So I'd rather go with him, just based off the experience. But I mean, it is what it is. We have him now. We have Pelistri now. So and I'm more than happy for Pelistri to prove me wrong. I'll be very, very happy to see him succeed. I just don't think he's that player.
Well, Shreyas, you're obviously on the flip side of the coin. I know you're obviously a huge fan of Pelistri, and he's actually done okay since he's come in. I suppose it's nice having the competition in it, because if you've got Anthony, Pelistri on one side, you've got Rashford, Garnacho on the other, maybe you can have Martial and Højlund competing for that top spot. Then competition, as we know, breeds success. So are you happy with that kind of attacking line for this season?
Yeah, I am, because at the end of the day, we are going to be playing a lot of games this season. Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, then the Prem. So you would need, to have cover in those positions. And I think at the moment, if you look into Garnacho and Pelistri, both are really young. Both have got a lot of potential. Both have got a lot of development in their way to come. So, perhaps getting 30 minutes or 25 minutes, in consecutive games, or and the odd start in, the league games, or probably in, against the likes of Copenhagen, maybe in the Champions League they get a start. But I think overall they are still in a developmental stage. When I look into this team and I see, the senior players, I do see Anthony in that in that position on the right hand side. I do see Marcus Rashford on the left hand side. The problem I have with that is when players like Garnacho and Pelistri are able to perform better than Rashford and Anthony, that's when an issue can happen, because you expect your senior players to be, playing at least a step above these players, and especially even if they are not working well, they should be getting the basics right. And
do you think they have?
I think for
do
now,
you think Garnacho and Pelistri have played better?
I think for now, yes, because I think Garnacho right now has been performing way better than Marcus Rashford.
Okay.
And I mean, Anthony is gone, so. But if I have to judge on the basis of the first 2 to 3 games, Pelistri has done more on that right hand side in comparison to Anthony. If I have to judge off the the first 3 or 4 games, when he comes back, I think that's when a proper discussion can actually happen on Anthony. When he gets a run of 5 to 6 games, and then probably we'll able to assess what level Anthony is, because it will take time for him to actually be match fit, match sharp. It will take time. But I think on the left hand side, it's not even a question. I think Garnacho has stepped up big time, and I think Rashford needs to not even match that. I think he needs to go above that level, because last season he was the only player in that in that attacking line who we depended on for getting goals, and now that he's not scoring, we do struggle. But if players like Garnacho are stepping up, I do expect Rashford to actually be performing in a much better manner and in a much mature way on the pitch.
Yeah, I don't know about you lot. I just want to see some fucking goals, man. I want to see a good few goals. Like, that's one thing I'm craving for. I'm sick of seeing like little stuttering performances where you just kind of like grabbing the weird goal. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes' goal against, let's say, Burnley, for example, was great. But apart from that, it weren't an amazing game. It was just kind of like drag your way through it. I want to see a clean, convincing performance. That is the main thing I want to take away from today. What I'll be talking about on the review. Whether we get that or not, obviously, is a completely
with no injuries.
different discussion. Yeah, but that's what I want to see for today. So hopefully we can get that. Keep getting your comments in. Leave a like on the video for us if you can, and subscribe to the channel. Of course, the game kicks off in 35 minutes. We actually have other games ongoing at the minute, which I'm just going to double check the scores of, because obviously other teams kind of dropping points around us as well is good news for us if we do pick up the 3 points today. I mean, is the game finished with Villa? Villa's still 4-1.
5-1.
5-1 now.
5-1, yeah.
On Premier League. Oh, yeah, Jacob Ramsey.
Jacob Ramsey, yeah.
Wow, yeah, so Villa have absolutely put Brighton to the sword. So that's Brighton kind of dropping points. Arsenal away at Bournemouth. Newcastle, Burnley, Spurs and Liverpool. So obviously some teams are going to drop points in that. So important to get the 3 points today, innit, Chivian? How do you feel about the rest of the games that are ongoing? If you want to, just give us a brief overview of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone, all eyes are going to be on Spurs and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get one of them to drop points. If they could both lose a game, I'd love that. But
yeah, it's not the case. Oh, draw. Maybe just take a draw like a what?
Yeah.
1 point.
Lose 1-0. Yeah, if they could just lose. But I think Arsenal have enough to see Bournemouth through. So I'm not even going to get my hopes up on that one. Newcastle, Burnley. It's another one. Yeah, Burnley haven't really been turning up like we expected them to, because I thought they were my like surprise package, but.
Well, they dominated the championship, didn't they? So you would have thought,
and they were playing like football that was way above their level. But we'll see what happens there. I'm, at the moment right now, I'm just focused on us really, because the way this season has started, like my confidence has really been shot low. I'm not one of those negative people. I will take a lot of positives from the last 2 games, especially the last game. Because that's all we just needed, a really good performance, a win, just to get all the negativity off our back, to get the press off our back, just to kind of have some confidence flowing. Because that's how you build momentum. You're not going to build momentum at Bayern, or it's really difficult to do that. So you need to beat these small teams and kind of build it. I just want to add something on the Pellistri thing. I think now with the right wing, his position now, Sancho's not there, Anthony's just come back. This is the test that he has to pass now for everybody. Because after this he doesn't have a leg to stand on. If he can nail this down, then any criticism directed towards him is kind of validated. So let's just see what happens now.
Yeah, well, a penny for Jadon Sancho's thoughts in it, really, because if you look at this situation it's developing, you had a small window of opportunity there to grab it. Like, you could have got a run of consistent games, and if you would have showed something that you showed at Dortmund, maybe potentially you would have got a lot more game time, but because you're so stubborn and you don't want to say, even if you don't mean it, just say sorry. Even if you genuinely don't mean it, just look, sorry, I fucked up. It is what it is. Get back into the squad and then take that opportunity, because the chances are, I know Ten Hag likes giving young players opportunities, but if Jadon was in the squad and he was happy and everything, obviously I feel like he would have maybe started on that right-hand side. So he's missed his opportunity now, and I think that whole situation is just going to go stale effectively until January, until he gets a move. So
he's one of those ones, really. I still think there's a lot that we don't know about, but I mean, if you put it down, if he really wants to play, all he has to do is just apologize. And like you said, even if he means it or not, just say sorry and play, right? And then
we've all been there in them situations where you want to be stubborn. You can't be arsed dealing with it, but just like, sorry, okay, it is what it is.
Sorry,
And then,
when you leave, then you can have your Piers Morgan interview and be like, "Oh, last year, what happened?
Oh my
I
God.
wasn't happy, and they played, and this, and then you can air your grievances. But then,
Yeah.
if you want to keep up you're earning 350 grand a week. You're not going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
It's
but
true.
yeah,
I want to bring it slightly back to Palace, Shreyas. I'm looking at the league table there, and we're actually only a point ahead of them in the league. So we're 9th, sitting on 9 points, and Palace are 10th, sitting on 8 points. So, in actual fact, if Palace beat us today, they obviously go 2 points ahead of us, we'll probably drop down to the bottom half of the table again. But it doesn't have that, I don't know if it's just you, but it doesn't have that kind of must-win feel like the Burnley game did.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about that? Because if we do lose, or even if it's a draw today, it could be pretty catastrophic, couldn't it?
I think it doesn't feel like, a must-win like Burnley, but I think after the game, we'll be able to see the effect much better. Because if we get the 3 points, then you can see us going up the table. Now that Brighton have dropped points as well. One of Liverpool or Spurs will definitely be dropping points as well. So if we lose today and then we see those results, it will hurt a lot more. So I think getting the win today is important, no doubt about it. Because on the you need to build momentum. We've just won like 2 games on on the bounce. You need 3, and this is a very winnable game. Palace is a winnable game. Copenhagen, Galatasaray, Sheffield United. You need to go on that run of actually stringing together like 5 to 6 wins, so that the overall morale of the team is high when the next international break happens. And then probably you've got other players coming back from injury. It provides a big boost, solidifies our defense, and we go on a better run after that international break. But till then, I think these are very winnable games. And last season we did pretty well against these sort of teams, the Palace, the Sheffield United. Last season we picked up the most points against these sort of teams. And if we are able to replicate that this season, I won't really be that scared about not making it into the top 5 or the top 4. Because if you take into account the top 6 teams, like take the top 5 teams, that's 10 games in a season, out of which we have already played against Spurs and we've already played against Arsenal as well. Leaves a 5, 6, then you've got like got a good chunk of teams to actually play up against. And if you're able to take points, if you leave those 5, if you keep those 10 games apart, and if you're able to get most of the results against the remaining teams, I think we have a very good shot at making the top 5. But for that, we need to string together these wins.
Well, one of the most worrying things, Trevor, is I don't think we're going to have our best starting 11 until like the new year. Because if Sandro Martinez is out until the new year, Shaw's out till November, Wan-Bissaka's out till like November, how much of a concern is that for you? Because obviously at the minute we've got quite a complementing run, haven't we, of games? But when we start playing them big games again, that's where the negativity is going to come from, isn't it?
Yeah, but hopefully, if we can get past this run and get these guys in for the big boys, then that's fine. These are the games that win you, well, not necessarily win you the Premier League, but these are the games that get you up the table.
Yeah.
If you beat who you're supposed to beat, because you're expected to lose points against like the top 6, or you're expected to lose points there, so that's fine. But then you have to beat these guys that you're better than. That's how you gather your 3 points, and you keep them going. We can't be dropping points to these lot. Injury or no injuries, at the end of the day, we're Manchester United. The players that we have, we all have internationals. Yeah, we've got Maguire. Say what you want about him as an international.
He was good in the last game, I thought. Maguire.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I think for me, the only big concern is just that left back position. And I was hoping we could get like a natural left back. If we can call back Alvaro, then we have that covered. Because this is why you have squad. This is why you have squad depth, and that's my only biggest concern. Apart from that,
can I ask you about that Alvaro thing though? If you was to bring him back, right? Let's say, because I don't know, I don't think Reguilon's got a massive injury. I think it's going to be a couple of games or whatever.
Yeah, a couple of.
So if you bring him back, he'll probably start, a couple of games for us. Let's say 3-4 games maximum. Then when Reguilon comes back into the side, Reguilon's obviously going to start, innit? And then you got Malacia coming back and Luke Shaw. So is it worth bringing him back to stunt his growth for a couple of games? Do you think?
Yeah, if he's a lone player, I'm sure he can come back, and I'm sure we can send him back in January or something when the window opens.
Just come back, fly back from Spain, play 2 weeks, and piss off back to Spain in January. Sorted, Alvaro.
Yes, Yes, I mean, if the situation, yeah, if that's
If
what
he's
we need,
ruthless, he's a ruthless manager.
yeah, if that's what we need to do, then that's what we need to do. He's still our player, and we can loan him out again. Like, yo, come help us cover this up.
Yeah.
And I'll remember this when I'm thinking about increasing your wage next time. Yeah.
You
So,
scratch my back. I'll scratch
Yeah.
yours.
I mean, it's just I don't know how long these guys are going to be missing for, especially like Luke Shaw. In my head, they're going to like December. I don't see, because even if Luke Shaw comes back, he's going to need like another couple of weeks to get like match fit
Oh
and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mate, I'd play fucking Region, the form he's been in, mate. He's been unbelievable since he's come in. He's looked really, really good. So I think I'll have the
In
run
a
for the
way,
money with
we've
Region
got
there.
3 natural fullbacks at the club who have gotten injured.
Well, you've got an extra option at centre back as well, aren't you, Luke Shaw? Like you can play there. So
I think
with Lisandro
having
being
Luke
out,
Shaw-
we saw last season.
Yeah, I think that's why it's hurting us a lot more having Luke Shaw out, because Lisandro isn't there. And last season when Lisandro was out, Luke Shaw came in, and I think he did a fantastic job at centre back as well. I think if
Shaw and Lindelof, like that partnership was ace.
Yeah.
I think the only time we lost it was against Brighton.
Yeah.
And then obviously the game against West Ham where David De Gea let that weak shot go in. Apart from that, it was solid.
Apart from that, we won
that
all
Brighton
our games.
game, when it hit Luke
Luke Shaw
Shaw's hand.
handball.
Penalty. Yeah, it was penalty. That was it. Yeah, apart
Unlucky,
from
wasn't
that,
it? Right towards the end.
Yeah, but
and
I
we
think
took them
except
right
in
to
that
the
game,
end.
I think in that game, except that handball, Luke Shaw was by far the best player on the field.
He was. This was like in the last minute as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget, like it was literally the last kick of the game, basically. So, but yeah, it is what it is, man.
I'm trying to remember the last time I had such an unlucky. I was going to say like a fucking Australian. I was unlucky. I can't remember the last time. I had a fucking unlucky. It's not like Ange Postecoglou. An unlucky start to the season. Even everything off the pitch and on the pitch, the injuries that we've had. I mean, this doctor at the minute, Gary O'Descroll, seems to be going through these guys. Like, I mean, almost everyone has had an injury at the moment.
Yeah.
We should be worried about. Like, is this down to tactic from the manager? Because we've never had. I don't remember the last time we've had it this bad. And
I honestly can't remember since my old time supporting United. I can't remember it ever being this bad.
Last season was the worst, but I didn't think anything could top last season, and now this has definitely topped it.
Well, Ten Hag was saying in the press conference he was moaning at the fact that it was the amount of games you have to play and blah blah blah. But equally, like you were overplaying players. Sorry, and obviously you want to go far in all competitions, and I admire that. I understand it completely. But at the time when he's getting asked these questions and they're saying like, "Oh, well, do you not think this is a bit too much workload?" Bruno Fernandes played the most amount of minutes in Europe, maybe dropping for a game or two, whatever. Even when he's playing poor, because let's be honest, he didn't play amazing every single game. And then he's like, no, they're fine. They can deal with the workload or whatever, blah, blah. They clearly can't. Because if you look at from last season and pre-season now to the start of the season, they looked absolutely well off the pace. They looked like they didn't even have a pre-season, man.
Yeah, I think we played like 3 or 4 more games than anyone else.
We played the most. 8 games I think it was during pre-season.
Yeah, like the workload was absolutely huge. So
I don't know if this is something that we need to be worried about more, because like it's not sustainable long term. And Varane was also complaining about it, because now we're having longer Premier League games. So we're seeing at the end of the games 8 minutes, 9 minutes extra time added. So I
also
know.
Just another quite kind of, I don't want to keep being negative, but if we have one more injury in that back line, so if Dalot picks up an injury now,
go on.
I mean, you are really scraping the barrel there, because I know you said Lindelof right back would do fine, and that's okay. But when you have Lindelof and Amrabat, and you have no natural wing backs, I mean, you have to start playing like fucking Pep, where you're playing centre backs at Thingen, and like you have to change your whole fucking style of play.
I think we'll have to.
That's going to
if
be a worry
Dalot gets
for me.
injured, I think if Dalot gets injured, we'll have to just
We're
go in the
fucked.
formation with no fullbacks, because you've got no natural fullback in that team, and it's very risky to go into games with Lindelof and Amrabat as fullbacks when you've got no Dalot and nothing. I think there is one thing. I think I want to know one thing though, whether it was the manager's call or whether it was the other staff or other department in the club who wanted Lisandro to come back so soon. Like when the season started, they could have actually just said just take a rest and be back to full fitness and then come back, because it was said that he aggravated his his injury. So I think
Well, they got asked about that.
Yeah.
he got asked about it in the press conference, and he said, "Oh well, all the science and everything was looking at, and what that was saying was absolutely fine." So we believe, even like when he went out on international duty, it said, "Oh, it was fine," but then he never played when he was with Argentina. So he must have been airing some concerns at the time to not play with Argentina. He must have said like it still doesn't. You can even tell in his performances at the start of the season, like that is not the Sandro Martinez. If you watched him last season, he was a 7 out of 10 every single game and probably one of our best players. Anytime we'd done the ratings, he was always consistent, and that's why I was such a huge fan of him, because he never dropped levels really. There was the odd away game, but for example, the Liverpool one, the obvious one, no one played well.
In 40 games, you were bound to perform, badly in like 2 or 3 games.
Apart from that, I honestly thought he was one of the better centre backs in the league last season. Genuinely, hand on heart, believe that. So for him to start the season like this, you kind of looking at you like, nah, there definitely isn't something right. So he must have known it, but being the warrior that he is, it's kind of like, okay, I'll just play through it. It won't make a difference, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Bang some tape on it, put some fucking paracetamol, and you'll be absolutely fine. But obviously he's going to need this time out now. So I'd rather let him get that sorted. Hopefully it does get sorted, and then bring him back in December or January, when the games start.
Send him home.
Yeah, stem cell it. Do whatever the fuck you want, mate. Like,
3 months, I don't care. Just get it right.
Yeah, come back with full fitness.
Absolutely, because we don't want to see Johnny Evans starting every single game. Look, he did okay against Burnley, and he's been all right since
Johnny Evans and Maguire is not the centre-back partnership I have.
You had a lot of kind of personalities in this game that we're in, moaning about signing Johnny Evans and blah blah blah. But to be honest, we fucking needed him.
Yeah.
Like, Ten Hag must have seen the workload and the players dropping like flies, and he must have been like, we need these players. You're looking at the last day signings of people who are coming in, like your Amrabats and your Serge Reguilons, these kind of guys. He must have saw what was coming, because the intensity and the levels, he must have been looking at the numbers in training and thought, we need to bring these guys in. So
that was the reason. Go ahead.
So I think it was one of those ones. It was one of those ones where he was just like, let's just keep this as an option.
Yeah.
Right? Let's not write it off completely, because there's a possibility. I don't think he really had him in his plans, but he was like, there is a possibility. There is a scenario, a real life scenario where we might actually need this guy to come in. So let's keep him around, give him a contract for like a month and see what happens. And then they give him the contract, and then we start to get the injuries. And then he's probably performing in training, because if there's anything we know about Ten Hag, he rates training. He always training and all that. So I remember someone asked him about youngsters playing. He was like, well, if they train well, and then they can play. But, he's not just going to give them a chance just because. So he wouldn't give Johnny Evans the chance just because, he's one of the old boys, or he's, bro, if you're training well, you're going to play. And I think he saw that and kind of just left that as an option in case we need it. And it's sad to say. It's sad to say we actually need it.
If you look at that fucking pass he made to Bruno, if he don't make that pass, we don't win that game. So really, he's got us 3 points. If you
honestly,
think about it like that.
It's better to have someone like Johnny Evans than, all due respect, but like, I'd rather have him than Phil Jones, who's just there.
Never available.
It doesn't make a difference whether he's in training or not, or he's at home playing FIFA. He's just there. But then you have one that you can actually call on if anything happens.
I believe it was Darren Fletcher who actually invited him to come and train or whatever, because he was looking at places to train. So good old Fletch makes rates jobs. You know the script. Right, we're getting closer and closer to kick-off. We've got like 4 minutes left of the pre-match build-up. So I want to get your score predictions. Give me a reason why, not just 2-0, but give me a reason why you think it's going to be that score and who you think is going to score. So Shreyas, do you want to kick things off?
I'll still say 3 or 2-0. And I think we'll keep a clean sheet. The reason being, I still don't see, judging the attack of Crystal Palace and their overall squad, I still think that we've got a, decent backline who can actually fend off Crystal Palace's attackers. I think the midfield is an area where they can genuinely trouble us. If they are able to isolate Casemiro, that's when the trouble starts to happen. But if Amrabat is able to step into midfield and probably complement him, maybe we can deal with that as well. Going forward, I think I want Marcus Rashford to score. That is the reason I'm saying towards 3-0, because for us to play our best football, Rashford needs to score. We've seen that throughout the course of last season as well.
He needs to get into a pattern of it now.
When Rashford plays his best football, we play our best football, and we rely on him a lot. So I want Rashford to score, and I think Højlund to get his goal as well at Old Trafford. So I'll still say 2-0 or 3-0.
Nice. Civir, are you going to come in a little bit more measured?
Yeah, I'm going to cop out on this one. I don't know what the scoreline will be, but it's going to be a fight. And I think I can see us having to change the game in the second half. Like, we might go a goal down, or we might be under the cush. I don't think it's going to be a straightforward victory. I think we're going to have to fight for this one really hard. And I think we're going to have to make some changes for that to happen, because that front line, and I don't see it happening against this Palace. I think Roy Hodgson is just gonna, sit back and just wait for it, because we make it easy for people.
Yeah.
We literally do make it easy. So yeah, they're just gonna have to. They'll sit back, and then they'll take their chance on the break, and then we'll have to now fight back and come back. I think we'll get the 3 points, but it's not going to be an easy walkover. I just don't know. If you want me to give a scoreline, I'm going to go 2-1.
Okay.
I think
I think it'd be the same. I think it'd be a little bit scrappy. I'll go with a 2-1 as well.
I think getting the early goal once again, Palace get the early goal will be crucial, because one of the reasons why we played so well against them in the Carabao Cup was we got the first goal within the first 20-25 minutes. So if we are able to do that, then I think we'll be able to be in cruise control. The thing is, Crystal Palace would want us to get frustrated. When it gets to the 30 or 35th minute mark and we create chances and not score, we are very, very vulnerable to counter attacks, and that's when they'll be looking to hurt us.
Yeah. Well, scoreboard saying he's got a bad feeling about this one. I think we will win. I think you just have to start with good application, intensity, and control the game. So if you do that, then I will be eased, and I think, right, okay, we started okay now. Bring them onto us if we need to in possession, and then hit them in certain areas where we can. If they start getting quick, cheap counter attacks within the first 5-10 minutes and exploiting us, then I'll be like, yeah, it's going to be a long night. But I'll stick with a 2-1. I think Rashford does get on the score sheet tonight, because I think he needs to. He's had a game off. He comes back, get back on that score sheet, start getting into that habit that he was last season. And I think Højlund might get one as well. I want him to score. I want him to start free-flowing, scoring goals now. I know he's only young, going for a big price tag. But yeah, let's start getting some goals there now, because that's what you've been brought in for. So let's see how the game goes. Let us know all your score predictions in the chat. This is, of course, the pre-match build-up. We'll be live for the review after the game, so you lot can go and enjoy that. And then me and Sam will be on after it, maybe a couple of others or one other with us to discuss the game in full. Subscribe, drop us a follow on socials. Enjoy the game, everyone. Civir, Shreyas, thank you for coming on. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.